we return to the Haze mission, where we've come up with a potential plan that hasn't really been nixed. Although there are some people who have their. Well, you always want to play Super Mario Brothers 2. That's like the best Mario game. I don't care what anyone says. Even though it's Doki Doki Panic with just a Mario recolor, but that's a tangent for another time. Right, the plan for getting Haze was originally proposed by Jupiter, and everyone's kind of offered a tweak here and there, pretty much. Three may have sold better than two, but two is still the best Mario game. Fucking throw my flip my table, goodbye. But Jupiter's plan. Oh god damn it, Kara! Are we really doing this?
Oh my god, yes, no. That game is so stupid, but also so good. It was my childhood.
I think you mean Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins.
Yes.
That was actually the Wario game, wasn't it? Like
yes.
the introduction of... Anyway, fuck!
Yeah, you're all wrong because Sonic the Hedgehog is best.
Okay, you can just leave now. Like, we don't need your furry time
it's just
here.
Nintendo.
Yes, that's true. Sonic the Hedgehog is Nintendo now because Nintendo kicks Sega's ass.
I meant the whole Super Mario thing, but whatever. Take it as you will.
Anyway, any fucking way. Jupiter proposed that we try to con the con man. We find out why Haze is in London, use that as bait, lure him to a location where his magic would be weakened. We then set him up in a scenario where a conflict arises, but he is third party to it, but still unable to leave. You then essentially hold him hostage in such a way where it's a matter of, you pay us, we'll get you out of this. And give or take, that was the general thrust of Jupiter's plan. With some, tweaks that have come here and there from other sources, such as if Haze doesn't buy it, well, fuck, we've already lured him into a location where he's at a disadvantage, so we can just go ahead with Whiskey's plan, or Bishojo's plan, or Hauser's plan. Although it's been pretty heavily emphasized that killing Haze, while it might sound like he doesn't have any friends, you don't make it to where you are a legendary Shadowrunner without, a few people who might mourn your passing in one capacity or another, even if it's simply a matter of, I wanted to kill him, you took that away from me.
Yes, but I still say that that's probably less dangerous than having him stalking around with a grudge behind us.
Yes, a Haze grudge could also be a bad thing indeed.
And how did Rin figure all that out?
Is Rin going to publicize that side of this, Kara? Or is that merely player knowledge? Okay. So Rin is not telling the group right now. Jupiter, will you go over Rin's head and inform the rest of the group in any capacity as to what we discussed in private?
Nope. He might mention it to his own people, but not anyone else.
Well, can you feel the trust tonight? Out of character, Kara, Abraxas, do either of you have any objection to the players being informed?
No?
Right. So, not that any of the other characters know, but Rin's boss, Mr. O, has caught wind of the situation, and he would be very pleased if Hayes could be convinced he is indebted to the Yakuza, specifically to Mr. O himself. So absolutely no comments from anyone on that?
I think we already kind of knew, because that conversation kind of happened in the previous session.
Yes, I just want to emphasize that it is not character knowledge, so I don't know if anyone really commented on it out of character, though, so...
So how many finger pieces is Rin missing right now?
None. She's been
Then
very...
it sounds like an excellent plan.
Well, she is missing her father, though. As in, she's the one who cut off her father.
Is it too late to back out?
Well, it's more a matter of the father had the option of cutting off some fingers. He refused. Very dishonorable thing to do.
Dishonorable.
But again, that's not character knowledge for any of you, so whoopsie-doo. We also previously met Chad Manson and Richard Dick Chadwick. The Dick is the son of a college administrative executive, and Manson is the son of an elite car dealer. And we, just by happenstance, there are Balswicks who are involved in the London academia area. Professor Peter Balswick and his father, Professor Edwin Eugene Balswick. No relation to Richard Dick Chadwick, except for by marriage. I mean, what? So, yeah. We were introduced to Foxtrot. There's a tangent for you. What else we got? Wilhelm von Heinrich was off doing his thing. Whiskey got Hauser laid. Hauser felt really shitty about it, like he didn't deserve it. And Scrap Hound was told to get off the property at the Hammersmith by none other than the friendly bouncer Beckett.
Well,
And of course, Bishojo and Rin had a sass off.
Yeah, who knew all it took to get Rin to be sassy was for somebody to be sassy to her?
Well, I think there's also this undercurrent of mixed feelings that she has for Bishojo. Like, Bishojo's a bitch for being so condescending, and Bishojo's a bitch for doing cultural appropriation. So Rin just doesn't know how to feel.
Ironically, she's been no more condescending to Rin than anybody else, I think. That's just Bishojo.
You have to admit, there's been a bit more back and forth, though. It's not like Bishojo and Whiskey have gone at it, or Bishojo and Hauser.
Well, because they don't play along nearly as much fun. Well, anyway. And we also think that Hayes may be in town for something dealing with a toxic mage.
Correct. So Whiskey played her contacts, went around the underworld doing her intimidation routine, not really hiding who she was at all. In fact, she leaned into it, showing off her chainsaw that she had claimed from the Remora sister. What was the eldest sister's name? Ariel? Ariel. Yeah, showing off Ariel's chainsaw and basically just kind of like, so you want to tell me everything you know? And eventually was able to get the information after numerous dead ends that, yes, Hayes is in town. Few more people were able to give Hayes is hunting someone. I think she had like 3 people confirm that. And one person gave the specific detail that Hayes is here hunting a toxic mage. Actually, I think I got those. I think there was a few people that said Hayes is here, a few less people saying Hayes is hunting someone. 3 people says he's hunting a mage, but they don't know who, and one of them said he's hunting a toxic mage. Meanwhile, Jupiter received the information. Again, it hasn't been shared with the other players yet, but Jupiter, Abraxas, any objection to the others hearing it?
No, and he's going to. He would have messaged everyone as soon as he found out.
And Whiskey has messaged everyone to not meet up at the Hammersmith anymore.
Right. So Whiskey has warned everyone that she has now basically flagged herself. So if Hayes ever goes looking, they'll find Whiskey, or Hayes will find Whiskey. So if you don't want to be found along with Whiskey, don't be seen with her. This puts special emphasis on Bishojo, Jupiter, and Rin, who are going to be working the other half of this con. So the 3 of you definitely don't want to be seen with Whiskey in London. But the information that Jupiter was able to acquire through his contacts, which were a little more refined than Whiskey's contacts, is that the contract which Hayes is operating under is specific to him, and the contract provider is above board as technology. The details of the contract, however, are not being revealed. Jupiter put 2 and 2 together with Whiskey's information and came to the conclusion that a group, a company like As Technology, doesn't send someone like Hayes to kill a toxic mage. They send someone like Hayes to gain a toxic mage.
Fun. Unfortunately, that still doesn't give us an idea of where this mage is, if I'm not mistaken.
Toxic mage tend to... well, actually, you know what? We need a magical knowledge roll. Who has magical knowledge in this group?
We know where it is. Magic's in London. Problem solved.
Yes, certainly Foxtrot is one of those potential sources, but does anyone else want to maybe make an attempt where they might have more dice pool than little old Foxtrot? You have Foxtrot. Oh wow, magical threats with 0 hits on 9 dice. That kind of hurts, Bishojo. But that would have been the appropriate knowledge skill.
Up, we're brown.
Can I use Shadow Community?
Well, Bishojo, were you going to edge, or were you going to leave someone else to try to find this information?
Well, I did have another thought, which is something I brought up in the chat before game. Bishoja should have Mary Morgan as a contact from her job. As a matter of fact, she stuck around, so she actually got on Mary Morgan's good side. So
Okay.
maybe she can call and ask for help.
Certainly. So I'll let Kara decide if she's going to edge or not, given this she's still edging. So 3 hits on a magical threats roll. Hauser has which hunter?
Mary. And he's also met Hamlin.
Yes. So if you want to try to utilize the contact, we'll say that you have a connection rating of 3 for Bishojo. Or not connection, sorry, loyalty rating of 3 for Bishojo and Mary. And Hauser...
Loyalty 2. I actually have her as a contact.
You have... No, Mary Morgan, not Hamlin.
Yeah, I have her as a
contact. Oh, okay. I thought you said him.
Connection 2, loyalty 2.
Okay, so...
And
yeah.
but I do know Hamlin because Hauser was the one who helped pull him out of that hole.
Indeed. So
he just doesn't have him as a contact.
So if either of you want to try to reach out to those contacts.
What is it to roll again?
Etiquette and your loyalty rating added to that. You do not get the software bonus if you have empathy software.
Ouch. Connection 2, loyalty 2. I think she's busy on the phone with the shoujo.
Yeah, I can live with that trade-off for fumbling the other roll. Or not fumbling it, but not doing well on it.
How does this happen?
We're just that charming and memorable.
Well, I mean, to be fair, she did get 2 hits against you, times 2, so 4 hits against Bishojo, but 11 hits versus 4. It's still like, I'm like super busy, but like you were super cool, so sure, what's up?
Sorry about that.
Critically glitched that last.
Bishojo, let's see here. We're looking for a guy who's looking for another guy, and we figured that given your background, you might know something about the second guy. Or gal. Really don't know.
You're going to have to give me a little more to go on than that.
Well, I just wanted to make sure you weren't going to hang up at that point. We've heard that there is a toxic mage floating around in London, and that the person we have been hired to find has in turn been hired to find them. We were wondering if you could maybe point us in the right direction.
What kind of toxic mage?
There's more than one type?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so do you want the full primer here, or was that just kind of a rhetorical question?
Probably should get the full primer, but yeah, I can't imagine there'd be a lot in London, are there? Or should I move?
I'll put it this way. London is a magical city. Toxic mages, in general, come in a few categories. One of those categories love cities for, all the shittiest reasons to love a city. So you got like
Lord
one of the most magical cities in the world.
Number 115
city. You get, well, I mean, back under the Lord Protector, well, to be fair, there were a hell of a lot fewer toxic mages in London, because there was a lot more of the asshole druids in London. But now that they're kind of not in power anymore, the toxic mages have kind of found a few places to slip in undetected, mostly.
All right, that makes sense. But on the other hand, we happen to know that this is actually a triple A trying, and we have a feeling it's for a recruitment mission, not just a bounty. So, if toxic mages are that common here in London, I'm guessing it's not just some random one. It's probably one of power or importance.
So you said a triple A is looking for this toxic? Sorry, did you say the word recruit?
That depends. How much of this would you have to tell the police if I filled you in on that?
Well, it's kind of funny because I was thinking of actually severing some ties with the local precinct. So maybe this is just fortuitous motivation.
Well, it is a private contract from what I was told. I had a couple team members go beat the streets a little to find out what's going on. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me just let me message them real quick, and I'll ask them if they're okay with me starting to mention names, which Bishojo would quickly do because she can do that. So everybody gets a text message. I'm talking with someone who I think is trustworthy, and I think would be useful for this mission. Do you mind if I actually start mentioning the names of the people involved?
I've got no problems with it.
Well, it's your ass if she isn't trustworthy.
Speaking of which, I'm trying to get in touch with someone on my own end, but their comm link's busy. They're not picking up. You remember that mage we worked with back at the against when that wolf was there?
That's who I've got on the line.
Scraphound says she gets no cut. Otherwise, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, if she gets a cut, I'll let her take it out of my chuck.
Scraphound needs his rent money.
So does Bishojo, but thankfully her rent money isn't very expensive.
Well, you're not living with 300 new yen in your account at the moment.
Rin says, if you mention names, I am merely Rina. Rina Hayashuri...
Shibata.
That, thanks.
Ayashibara.
Alright. Bishojo switches back over. Alright, I've gotten a clearance from them. As technology has given a private contract out to a Shadowrunner by the name of Hayes, who you may have heard of.
Roll a judge intention.
Ooh.
No, you don't seem
Ouch.
to notice anything other than a bit of a pregnant pause, we shall say. Oh, you're edge re-rolling that, eh?
With only 2 hits on that on 16 dice? Yeah, I think that's a reasonable thing to do.
Bishojo edge for judge intention on Morgan. Reroll. Just trying to keep my records straight here. Reroll from 2 to 7 total. Okay, so that pregnant pause did have a slight bit of sound, the sound of a throat going dry and trying to swallow.
You're not gonna bail on me now, are you, Mary?
Not bail, just I'm not too eager on contending with blood magic. I mean, it's better than insect spirits, I guess, but when you put toxic and as technology together in the same sentence, referring to magic in general, you tend to be dealing with, sacrificing children on stone altars.
Well, thankfully, we don't have to get in the middle of that, one way or the other. I mean, unless you're willing to pay us to do it, in which case we could definitely do that.
Sorry, what?
We're looking for the guy who's been hired to find this toxic mage, Hayes. I don't know if you've ever heard of the guy, but he's kind of a big deal among Shadowrunners, supposedly.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, sorry, I was just you kind of caught me off guard there, but I don't know where Hayes is, but you said you want me to tell you where to find a toxic mage for as technology because that's where he's going. Yeah, well, not to sound rude, but what would it be that I get out of this situation?
But Shoujo will actually have to legitimately pause for that, because it's like, oh yeah, that's right.
We don't even know what we are getting out of this situation.
So, quick text message to the rest of the group. Yeah, Mary's a little freaked out about this whole thing and is now asking about payment of some nature. Any suggestions?
We don't even know if we get pay out of him ourselves.
The follow-up text message to that is, that's why I'm asking for ideas here.
Meanwhile, in your other ear, Mary's like, hey, hello, you still there?
Yeah, it's just that we're kind of being paid on, what would they call that? On contingent, so to speak. So we're not actually sure exactly what the final pay on this is going to be.
New yen's not the only thing you can get somebody. There's other means of barter.
Is this person hot?
She's not too bad looking, but I don't know if she swings that way.
Oh, it's a lady, is it? I could go for a lady every once in a while.
We might not even need the toxic mage. It might be more useful if you're talking to someone who knows things about magic. If they could tell us the location of a mana ebb or void.
BT, you want to read those?
So Scrap Pound, I assume, texts the we could offer her a part of Hayes, maybe a knuckle or a kneecap, and Rin sends specifically to Pashoujo, if you need to mention we have a lead on someone who is willing to reward us depending on how we handle this.
Rin gets a bunch of question marks back for her text message, and to Mary, it's, well, do you have anything particularly in mind? I'm afraid I'm fresh out of magical trinkets to trade.
I mean, I don't know if you know anybody who works with the cops. I mean, I'm kind of balanced on the knife's edge here over a little, we'll call it a misunderstanding. Not that it really was, but we'll call it that anyway. And I mean, if you know somebody who's like a police chief or, maybe a legal representative who got some sway, that sort of stuff is helpful too.
Are you going to play that towards the rest of the group, Pashoujo?
The text message would be, anybody know anybody who's got some sway with the cops? Apparently Mary's having some issues with them and could use a favor.
Oh, I know a few cops. I also know an upcoming politician.
Rin will reply, fine, my boss. We deliver him haze, in a sense. He rewards us for it. I'll fill you in on the details later. I believe that's still specifically only to Bishojo, though? Yeah, okay. So that was Rin's reply specifically to Bishojo.
Anyway, to Whiskey. Any of these cops have any pull? I mean, it sounds like she's...
ever heard of Detective Grimm? She's moving up in the world after, we kind of helped her out of a difficult situation.
Whiskey, roll memory, please.
Wrong window.
All right, that's totally something Whiskey says.
But Bishojo would not know anything about this Grimm character, but if you think them or your politician friend could help out, I'm sure with whatever Mary's problem is. Yeah, let me go back over here. Mary, I think one of my team members knows a few people who might be able to help, depending on what the problem is, but you're going to have to be a little more specific for me to know for sure.
Lifting a present APB would be great start, and then addressing the issue that caused the APB right after that.
Would this APB be on you?
I can't confirm something. Yeah, it totally is.
Ooh, you're gonna have to tell me this story sometime. Not right this second, but totally. We're meeting up for beers, and you're telling me this story. This sounds like a fun one.
Well, we can meet up for beers as long as I'm not getting arrested. So, yeah.
Bishojo would relay that to Whiskey and say, any of your people have enough sway for that?
My app, I think she did it before on herself.
Then go for it.
Alright, I'll see if I can contact her. And Whiskey would contact Grimm.
And Bishojo to Mary will say, I'm letting my team member see what she can pull off. If we can get what you need, we'll give you a call back. I'll give you a call back. Sound good?
Yeah, if I don't pick up right away, just realize I'm probably driving a little fast.
Understandable.
Kara, well, there's the thing. If we want to roleplay it, you remember Grimm's jurisdiction doesn't include London. For her to have sway over something going on in London
User in your channel timed
would
out.
mean her needing to pull big strings, which in turn would probably mean she'd want big payment from Whiskey. So how do you want to play that? Sorry, did you mean to say play or pay for being dragged out? Okay then. Grimm's saying basically flat out hazard pay plus play for being dragged out of retirement from the shadows over this.
How much has it... sorry, wrong button. How much has it pay?
And she says, you realize in order for me to do anything, it's going to be a big risk, right?
Really? How so? I mean, you would just make a little file go away. How hard can that be?
Gonna have to go there. Probably mock arrest her for myself, bring her into my jurisdiction, then bury it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like too much trouble. Okay, thanks anyway for informing me.
And call in a bunch of favors, blow that. Okay, she would say, somewhat taken aback by the sudden turn off, just shrug and hang up. Yeah, that was pretty sad. Whiskey's just giving up, just like that.
Yep. She ain't paying her own cash. She ain't paying large quantity of her own cash on this job, which might not even yield any cash.
Yeah, who said it was cash anyway? Maybe
As
Grim
of pay.
also wanted favors.
But yeah, Whiskey would relate. She's being an annoying, useless cunt. Something about wrong jurisdiction, all that cop nonsense.
You mentioned a politician you might have as a friend?
Yeah, I agree. Well, he is kind of my on-and-on boyfriend. I can give him a call. I do not know if he has much pull in the police department, but who knows?
Yeah, can't hurt to call him.
Alright, Whiskey would call Alistair.
Okay, give us a roll for that. And what's his connection?
Right, Alistair connection used to be 2. I don't know if that's increased with the whole situation around, what was his name? Carbon copies, original identity. Parsons, yes.
It's been about a month, so yeah, there's probably been a little bit of an increase for him.
So, alright, I'll start with loyalty then. Loyalty plus etiquette?
Indubitably. And remember, you don't get the empathy software bonus when making a phone call.
And also not tailored pheromones.
I just suck rolling for contacts. That's just what it is. So yeah, you get a hold of them, no problem. It's like, hey, babe, haven't heard from you. Hope you're doing good.
Yeah, sorry, I want to hang out more, but you know, as you are moving up, I'll try to make myself more decent and try to take all education, so that takes a whole but of time outside of the whole, business.
Oh, damn. Well, all power to you.
All power to you. By the way, I have a friend who is apparently in some trouble with the police. Do you maybe know some people in the police of London?
I do. What kind of trouble?
Said something about an APB.
APB for who?
Well, I don't know. I was not told. I see.
I can't really help if I don't know who I'm helping.
Okay, I'll ask. Who's the APB out for, Bishi?
Mary Morgan. And if you call me Bishi again, I'll shove that assault cannon up your ass.
Oh, that might be fun. Okay. Anyway, back to Ingram. It's a Mary Morgan, apparently. She's a mage of some kind, I think.
All right, give me a sec. I'm just going to look this up. Oh. Okay, that's interesting. Well, I don't think I personally should be involved in this particular incident, Whiskey. It's a. How do you know this woman?
Well, one of my colleagues knows her, and she thought she could do a favor, but first she needs this thing out of her and all that type of nonsense.
And do you know what it is that she's currently being pursued for?
Nope.
Right. She's been labeled a well, she was a person of interest in a terrorist act, and when she decided to run away from the officers who asked to speak with her, she kind of elevated the charges.
Could you tell me who is mostly after on her case right now?
The anti-terrorist unit.
Oh, the whole anti-terrorist units. That's gonna be hard to convince, so
Well-
that's not
well-
too useful.
No, I mean, like, that's who's got jurisdiction, basically, but they've put the APB out to all beat cops, essentially, and telling the beat cops, if you see this woman, bring her in.
Right, okay, but at least, well, thank you there. It's at least something to go on, and maybe enough reason to convince my friend to not be friends with her anymore.
I mean, I don't know the details. I'm just saying.
You're better off not knowing them.
Okay, then. Well, thanks for getting in touch, and let's make some time. It's the weekend. Maybe we should try and catch each other. Before June hits.
I'll give it a try. We'll see how this current work load handles itself.
Ciao,
Talk with you
babe.
soon. Bye. So yeah, then Whiskey would reply to Bishojo. Hey again, boy Shoyo. So apparently there's a big anti-terrorist unit after Miss Mary, and that is a bit tricky to resolve, even for my friends.
Fuck. Hauser, have you made any progress? Please tell me you have. Hunter?
It would help if I wasn't muted.
Very.
So, did Hauser hear that? That Mary's basically off limits at the moment.
Well, she did tell Bishojo, I don't know if Bishojo relayed it, that it's kind of a misunderstanding.
More to the point, Bishojo was just talking to Barry Morgan, so... Did you try and get in contact with the other person you know?
I would have, but I don't have any contact details on my sheet for him.
So for Hamlin, Hauser helped pull him out of a hole. So we'll say we'll give a loyalty of 3. He's a very trusting fellow. So go ahead and roll your etiquette plus 3. Kara, do you have Hamlin? Do you have Orchid's sheet handy? Because I know she has Hamlin on her sheet. And I just want to know what his connection rating is. Meanwhile, Scrap Hound, you're a technologically savvy individual. Perhaps there's another way to resolve a police APB.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that has been brought up to Crap Out.
Yeah, no, that's typical. But yeah, so if anyone wants to keep Scrap Hound in the loop, that might be handy for Frosty.
Oh yeah, that would have at least some of this would have been all points text message, so to speak. Everybody on the team would have gotten, particularly the one about, hey, any have an idea how to deal with an all points bulletin? Somebody got some pull with the police department.
Well, I can't say I have full, but I might maybe possibly perhaps be able to pull out something.
Channel your inner nuclear snake.
Yes.
I mean, you can try it. I don't actually know anybody with the police. If she needed to hire a mercenary team, I could help. Although she might.
That generally escalates the whole terrorism label, you know.
Yeah, I also had the idea, like, well, how do you get rid of someone who made too loud a noise? Make a louder noise, but I do not think that's a wise plan.
Especially not when someone's being chased by an anti-terrorism unit.
Okay, this is not... I was thinking of hacking, but my hacking is kinda bad.
Is it? What is it?
6.
It can't be 6, can it?
Yep, there's no skill rating.
Oh, you didn't. You don't have anything in cracking skill group?
Apparently not. I shall blame you. Making this game.
Okay, but what's his software like? So you're saying he default, and a default is still a 6?
Yep.
So then what's his
Logic
software?
7 defaulting -1.
Yep. Okay, and what's his software? Oh, sorry, not the. What is the exploit program rating?
Let's see. None.
He didn't give you exploit?
Nope.
Well, fuck. I done goofed. I totally. I guess he really is
This
a pure
guy is
rigger.
completely and utterly a
Rigger, not a hacker in
rigger.
the slightest.
Yeah, that's...
Okay, my mistake.
I thought I had something. Yeah. I'm really good with the drones. Like, really good. But hacking...
I suppose we could theoretically call in Prodigy if he's not busy, but...
No, he and Ace are going to be... Oh, no, I guess this is timeline-wise not yet happening. Prodigy's busy in some other way.
Elsa could also just call Pirate for magical support, probably.
But we will say, Rin says, well, don't ask me. Best I could do is offer her in one of my company's safe houses, but she seems like a bad investment. Is she worth it?
Well, she was working for the cops before this, and she definitely seems to know a thing or two, so... Probably? I guess it depends on the quantity of the investment. I mean, we
Also-
probably shouldn't launch war on the London police for her, but, we do need some magical help, and she's more than competent.
Meanwhile, Hauser would reach Orchid, who would most likely sass him a bit, but eventually put Hauser in contact with Hamlin.
How bad is the sassing? Wait, he's never met Orchid.
Yeah, so it's basically just like a really rude secretary, like asking you, what is the nature of this call? And I imagine you wouldn't want to reveal too much sensitive information, and then she'd probably bitch you out for like thinking less of her. And you'd probably
he basically just goes, tell him it's one of the people who pulled him out of that hole. Need a favor.
I think I might have to wait to see what Kara has to say on that after she's done typing what she's typing for Rin. Oh no, wait, she went straight to Orchid. I'm not a secretary or a telephone service, but fine, you idiot. I'll get you in touch. Okay. So Hamlin will be like, hello?
Hey, Hamlin.
Hi?
We're currently in search of someone who's looking for someone else. But I figured you'd be the better one to talk to. You know more about magic stuff than I do.
Right. Sorry. So, with whom am I speaking?
Hauser. Remember when you got stuck in the hole? I'm the guy with
Yes.
Metal legs.
Sorry. Yes. It's coming back to me. My apologies, good sir. I would like to thank you once again for your fine assistance in that unfortunate bit of event. Yes. No. Absolutely. You're looking for something magical. Yes.
Yeah. We're actually after looking for the person who's looking for a toxic mage for as technology. So probably something to do with and this is out of character, he wouldn't have said that last part if it wasn't for, if Bishoujo didn't say most likely blood magic.
Out of character, would Bishoujo have revealed the blood magic link?
I don't think it would have seemed relevant to her at the time.
Then, yeah,
Especially since that's just because it's dealing with as technology.
Okay, so then Hauser's
It's just
saying to Hamlin that there is a toxic mage that someone is looking for, and you're looking for that someone.
Yes.
What sort of toxic mage is, again, the question round that will go around.
Hauser would end up clarifying. I think we probably all know that it's as technology looking. Hired Hayes. That was revealed.
Yeah, that was shared.
Specifically as the person was hired by Az Technology to look for this toxic mage.
Yes.
So it will take Hamlin a little time to kind of connect the dots, but it's like, yes, okay. So as technology have been rumored within the shadow community to perform blood sacrifices of children, no less. So if they were looking to have a professional, charismatic individual locate a blood mage, yes, a toxic mage, that would suggest they're looking to recruit, which in ergo a blood mage. Yes, no, those. It makes my skin crawl. But I've heard rumor that here in London, back in the day, we had some of the more vulgar and extreme members of the Druidic Order who would engage in such unsavory activities as sacrifice. I mean, their rituals would simulate sacrifices, but some of the compatriots felt that they would need to step up the game, as it were, and revert to the traditions of old. It's a terrible nonsense. It just, well, I mean, other than the fact that, yes, actually blood magic is exceptionally powerful, but it destroys the very essence, the spirit, the soul of those who practice it, taints them, makes them well, toxic, yes. So I suppose it all makes sense. Sorry, was I rambling?
Maybe a little bit. But have you heard of any blood mage activity lately
Oh my!
in London?
Funny you should mention that. I've actually come to believe that, well, not specifically a blood mage, one who dabbles in very similar forms of toxicity, a necromancer. I've actually been in pursuit of a necromancer for quite some time here in London, and that day that you found me in the hole, that was because the site I was at was utilized most likely by the individual I was attempting to locate.
And there might be a chance that the person you were seeking is also the person that has technology hired to look for.
Yes, I must regretfully come to the same conclusion, but I don't believe it would be at all appropriate to hand over such a dangerous individual to a company such as Technology. No offense.
We're not working for Az Technology.
Oh,
we're after the guy that they sent to find this guy.
Oh. So you'll stop this from happening then? Is that correct?
Theoretically, yes.
Oh, well then.
However, the person we're after is very dangerous and skilled in social magics, I think. He's a bit of a legend in the Shadowrunner circle.
A legend, you say? In the background, you probably have like Orchid's ears perking up as like legendary Shadowrunner. Did someone say legendary Shadowrunner? But Hamlin's like, sorry, out of character, real quick. El Diablo, when did Ojo Dorado come into this?
He is an Aztec mage, so
That's technology.
Very closely related, probably, to blood magic. That's where things went off for me.
So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Ojo is not a necromancer. No.
He just like ripping hearts out.
He has an Aztec origin, sorry, tradition for his magic.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite blood magic, but I mean there are similarities. But all the same, Hamlin will ramble on for quite a while, but you get the impression, Hauser, that if Hamlin knew where to find the person he's been hunting, he would tell you. Like that. Like, no problem. The fact of the matter is, he doesn't know where they are, and that's why he's trying to learn how to psychically communicate with a blackberry cat, because he hopes the blackberry cat has memories that will lead Hamlin to his target. But if you roll a common sense, Hauser.
Dude, not the best person to be rolling for that.
Orchid shouts into the other room, don't forget to remind the little daft cow I'm not a secretary. So Hamlin would say, oh yes, sorry, I must apologize for my associate, Orchid. She does not appreciate being talked down to in any regard.
I'm afraid I didn't talk down to her. I talked to her
I mean, of course, no offense. I'm very sorry. I just, right. But, Hauser, it would kind of dawn on you that if Hamlin doesn't know where to find the specific target, he could still potentially help you with the other things your group is looking for.
Which would... Yeah, I'm sorry.
Finding a mana ebb or a mana void.
In that case, we're also trying to find places where we could take the individual we're after. Make it so he can't really use his magic against us. My associates tell me a mana ebb or a mana void.
Yes, as long as none of your associates are magical themselves. There are a few locations which I'm aware of, which, if not a ebb or a void, or at least aspected towards domains that are of a more esoteric nature, this individual you're looking for, you say they are magical and dangerous, yes? Do you happen to know their tradition?
Can this be something we looked up for Hayes?
Everyone can retroactively roll a underworld knowledge or rumors or legendary Shadowrunners or Shadow Community. Sorry, what?
Hauser has none of that.
Then he's probably got nothing to roll. But the whole team has the opportunity here so that if anyone figures it out, they could potentially share that information with the rest. The 2 hits will not be enough, Jupiter, and just in case you choose to edge that. But we'll see if anyone else gets it first.
Damn.
Oh, well, fuck. 8 hits for Bashojo. Fuck, I think everyone else can stop. It will be up to Desperado if Bashojo will share this. Looks like Samantha has dropped and disappeared and dropped and reappeared and... okay. Anyways, but yes, Bashojo, he is purported to be a... sorry, I'm just incredibly distracted by something Kara just said. Where was I? I was GMing.
His tradition.
Hayes's tradition would be suggested to be hermetic, most prominently. But there are some who say that he is a blood mage. There are some that say he is an Aztec tradition, and some that say he has a unique tradition to himself. But the vast majority say he is hermetic.
So yes, Bishoja would share that. Probably hermetic.
It's purported that of the hermetic. That's what most people.
Sorry, I got my notes backwards. Shaman. It should have been shaman. So retcon, GM screwed up. Shaman, not hermetic.
So that's what Hauser would have said.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
rumored. It's highly believed that he is of the shaman tradition.
And he'll be like, "What? The North American shaman? Oh well, in that case, you have nothing to worry about. There aren't any aspected domains in London for that type of magic. I think. That might merit some investigation. But no, we have other priorities. But no, I'm quite certain that you don't need an ebb or a void. You can bring him to an aspected domain of a tradition that runs contrary to his. So many of the universities and their campuses here have already been aspected toward a hermetic tradition. And as I understand it, the North American shaman traditions, or well, multiple traditions which kind of fall under that umbrella, as I understand it, there are numerous. Anyway, the universities are all quite heavily aspected toward the more logic-driven pursuit of the answers to the mysteries of magic, whereas shamanism is this, well, no offense meant to anyone who happens to practice, but somewhat preposterous suggestion that magic is somehow the providence of beings that humanity must, well, bow and scrape to. I mean, I don't mean to suggest that that's not possible. I mean, obviously, clearly it is possible, but more that it's very self-depreciating. That's it. It's a very self-depreciating belief in magic that it's not the individual magician who has the talent, but rather the magician or the shaman merely makes what's the word, tribute toward the celestial, or well, I guess they're not celestial in the shaman tradition, are they? No, they'd be more tomatic. Yes, totemic, totems. They make tribute towards totems for the boon of magic. Am I rambling again?
A little bit.
My apologies.
Besides the universities, just in case, because this is only believed that he is of the shaman. Do you know of any mana ebbs or voids that we could take, also lead him to, which would affect all magic?
Yes. Well, some of them are considered ebbs and voids, but there are some that are actually aspected towards toxic magic, and ergo are effectively ebbs and voids for all intents and purposes, except for the toxic mages. But I can compile a list of the ones that I am aware of that have been documented in London. How far out would you wish? I have some as far as Gravesend to the east, to the south to Stonehenge, and as far west as well, the border to Wales, essentially, and yes, and as far north as Scotland, even. How far do you want the coordinates?
Just within London. Just within London.
Just within London. Very well then. Yes, I can start compiling that straight away. Was there anything else I can help you with?
I believe that should do it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, just one small matter of payment. Now, under normal circumstances, this kind of service would run a few hundred to a few thousand new yen. I'm thinking perhaps, if I may be so bold, would like to request your assistance with a project that I'm working on in the near future. I'll be able to give you more details at a later date when I'm a little bit closer to being successful, but as I recall, you happen to carry a very large firearm with you, do you not?
Yes, I do.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful then. I will most likely want to make an exchange, a favor for a favor, as it were. And if you could be oh so kind as to grace me with your protection in exchange for this information, I think that will do nicely.
Be arranged, yeah.
Delightful, delightful. Thank you very much, Mr. Hauser. I will get right to business then for you.
Get out of character. I'm guessing he's asking Hauser to take part during the hunt for the Blackberry Cat.
Correct, yes.
So I now have 3 characters going on that.
Yes, I realize you put your mages on that already, didn't you?
Erenial for one, and Katya, because Katya's sense of smell plus the whole cat thing. Plus the mage.
Yeah, except, large predatory cats might eat smaller cats, and the smaller cats might not take too kindly to that.
Yeah, but she'd be able to think like a cat.
A very differently sized cat, but all the same, yes, absolutely. So, yeah, that was... It scares me when I get into Hamlin's mindset. It kind of takes over.
Hamlin kind of reminds me of Bobo, to be honest.
Oh, ow! Why would you do me so dirty? Oh.
Well, maybe you deserve it.
Ooh, fucking Frosty, jeez. Are you all going to be against me now?
I'm not that against you.
To be fair, Bobo isn't here to defend himself.
Yeah, no,
No,
it's
he
me
has
who
nothing to
needs
defend with.
defending. It's me who needs defending. Abraxas, what were you about to say?
I was gonna say, Jupiter would not like Hamlin at all. He would he would have no patience for that.
Oh, poor Hamlin.
Briar loves him.
My
Briar
heart.
thinks Hamlin's amazing.
It is a good thing that Whiskey was not in on that conversation, or it might have went very differently.
I thought you all loved Hamlin. My heart
I
bleeds.
do. And Whiskey probably also loves, in quotation marks, Hamlin. But with her, it probably would have been more like, yeah, you have a nice library here. It's a shame if something were to happen to it.
Yeah, with
And he'd probably literally say, yes, it would be a shame, wouldn't it? It's just not clue into the threat.
with Hauser, though, with his one essence, I don't think he'd be very too emotional. But yeah, he was pretty straightforward when, other than the whole not naming names.
Okay, but yeah, so eventually Hamlin will give you a list of viable locations. So Bashoja, what Hauser's answer to Bashoja would be essentially is, I talked to my guy, he'll get back to me, but it sounds like he's got something for us.
Oh, and it seems that it's highly likely he's here after a necromancer.
He who?
Hayes.
Yes, there you
Well,
go.
like a necromancer from the Lord of the Rings or those Hobbit books? Or Trits, rather.
The suggestion that Whiskey has read The Hobbit, just kind of like...
Whiskey has 4 points in literature.
Yeah, no, but just like... with her family history.
It would make other people's heads explode.
Specifically pirates. But yeah, if it is...
So Rin will send a message to Bishojo saying, what's the call? Because as said, if you want the help on this, the cost is there too.
That was from Mary, you said? Or from Rin?
Rin. So yeah,
Rin.
Rin is basically saying she has Yakuza safe houses. If you want this person that you can fall back on to, help us, the exchange could be we get her into a Yakuza safe house to hide from the cops. Yeah, it doesn't get rid of the APB, but at least she's not on the run.
Also, I might have one more magical knowledge contact in London, but I am not. He might want to kill me, and he'll probably not want to work for free either.
Oh, and there's was no payment involved with my contact.
Well, there was. It just wasn't New Yen based.
He's telling them there was no payment for his contact.
Roll a con roll.
He didn't pay anything. He just has to help him out later.
To Rin, it would be, well, I'll at least make the offer and see if she's interested, because that's probably the she might not be interested in lying low in a Yakuza safe house. Or, well, a safe house belonging to someone who I do not believe was specifically mentioned to be Yakuza.
Yeah, Rin's tattoos might give it away, though.
Especially with 12 ranks each in Underworld and Shadow Community.
12 ranks in each?
Well, no, not 12 ranks, but something...
12 dice.
Yeah, 12 dice, which is a 5 in each, a 5 skill rating in each.
Yeah, okay, a rating of 5 is, pretty much maxed out, so... Rin says, all right, but I meant as well. As said, in order for that to work, it does come with a cost from us.
I can't make that call for the rest of you, but I think we could definitely use some extra magical help on this, even if she can only consult over the phone.
And about my, kind of risky contact. If he still lives there, evenly.
You can give it a try. I mean, who is this person, and why do they want to kill you?
They were, in a previous job, they were kind of a mercenary. Big mercenary, magic focused. And they were kind of hired to kill a target we were sent to protect, but things went weird, and we eventually kind of, got him off the contract, kind of type of thing, but he did spend a few days in prison, so... But I think we parted terms professionally.
Maybe use a burner phone for that one?
Well, I kind of don't know his phone number. I'd have to go and try and find him.
Out of character, just a moment. Let's see here. How many fucks is Bishojo giving today?
And also,
no more
Whiskey,
fucks to
OC Whiskey's talking about Montezon.
Sure, go for it. What's the worst that could happen? He just kills you?
I think I can maybe beat him, but he is a strong one. But I'll give it a go. Hopefully things will be professional and friendly. And
Can't hurt me.
and Whiskey will then probably go off to try and go to the old haunt that Monteson previously kidnapped West End Mike at.
Okay, but perhaps we should answer Rin's question. Is this brought up with the whole group? Maybe Rin, or is it only Bishojo and Jupiter who still know?
Yeah, but Shoja's comment here is this affects the whole group, and I'm just a part of the group, so. So basically, either Rin needs to get a decision, or Rin needs to talk to the rest of the group, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Rin will say, fine. She mentions, so she's now contacting the rest of the group. Long story short, and my boss offered that if we get Hayes to owe him a favor, dash on his side, he will owe. Having difficulty reading that. He will owe us dash reward us for that. Best lead I can give us so far, but yes, that means putting up with him. Yes, that's what I was thinking, Desperado, but we'll chalk it up to Ren's language barrier. So, group, Ren's boss, she hasn't really given you any detail, but any of you with at least 3 rating points in underworld or organized crime or syndicates or Yakuza, hell, even 1 point in Yakuza, will be able to put 2 and 2 together and kind of be like, yeah, that Rin girl, she's got Yakuza tattoos. Her boss, probably Yakuza boss. So it's implied that Rin is saying that the Yakuza wants Hayes to owe the Yakuza a favor, and that the team will be rewarded if the team is successful in arranging that.
With Hauser's common sense roll, does he know that those are Yakuza tattoos?
He's been Shadowrunning for a while. I'll give that to him.
He was also stationed in Japan for.
Yeah, then yeah, I think it's safe to say he's probably been able to figure that much out. Jupiter, are you going to speak up to the group conversation to pretend like this is the first you've heard of this?
No.
Are you going to at least speak up to say something in regards to this revelation?
No, he's looking at memes on his phone.
Goodness.
Do you mean we'd have to deal with Hayes, or have to put up with Hayes, or have to put up with your boss?
I say no. Hayes is one thing, but I mean put up with my boss.
A boss, your boss would probably be a definite payday over days. Yeah, to go that route.
Novi would state that it sounds better to her to have Hayes in the pocket of the Yakuza than Hayes have the team try and put a bullet in Hayes. And Rin says, "Wait, you assumed Hayes had a payday waiting for you?"
No, I was assuming that we'd end up getting money with each other. But more likely guarantee a better chance of getting paid from your boss over getting nothing by doing Dais's job. Take the payday.
Yeah, Hunter, your mic's kind of having trouble picking up the beginning and end of your sentences a little.
Sorry, it's because I have it a bit away from my face, and I have it down enough that deep breathing doesn't activate it.
Okay. And Frosty, were you going to state Scraphound's statement?
Sure. Scraphound thinks that as long as we get paid, he'll be happy.
And Whiskey?
No matter who pays in the end.
Whiskey, are you there? Well, it seems to me I've lost El Diablo again.
Sorry, I'm back.
Oh, there he is. So, did you hear any of this?
I missed the last bits.
So
I did
Rin is
read
saying...
what Rin said.
Okay, so what would Whiskey's response be?
Whiskey would be... well, that's a short pay, so that sounds fine by me, actually.
Rin will follow up, say, "Oh yes, much better. But that is only if we make it work. There will be no pay from him at all if we can't deliver. He wouldn't suffer fools, nor should he have to. He doesn't have a boss here he really answers to, so yeah, it's out there. If you want to go this route, we can work on this, but yes, again, this is also a case of none of that killing or injuring nonsense that you all have been so trigger happy to fantasize about."
Not even a little bit of injury if he gets bandy.
Also, if I may make an underworld roll to see how Whiskey's bosses like or not like the Yakuza.
Honestly, that would just be a common sense roll with, I'll give you half your charisma as a bonus on top. Rin says if you want to injure someone, Bishojo is right there.
Sure, try. I dare you.
Yeah, how about we don't?
Don't.
I think
what?
the only one we'd have to convince not to go after him would be a nightly one.
But Novi is interjecting into the group saying that what Heinrich doesn't comprehend doesn't necessarily have to hurt him. We can...
I have rounded charisma up, by the way.
Okay.
Half charisma, I mean.
Yep. So, yeah, Novi is suggesting that Heinrich be kept in the dark about, hiring Hayes to the Yakuza, basically.
I suppose we could tell Heinrich that we're handing Hayes over to somebody who is in an authority to perform justice.
Yeah, that works. That works.
Yeah, to be fair, I'd actually be less afraid of leaving Hayes alive if he's under the thumb of your employers, because they've been known to be pretty good about enforcing discipline on their own.
And Frosty, did you want to recite?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that my arsenal has a high probability of causing some minor to severe injuries if forced to use. So I was just making sure you all were informed.
I think accidental injuries are okay.
Bryn will state, well, we have ideas. If worse comes to worse, I can sell a fair opposed duel versus Heinrich. He would make a useful foil, at least to the plan that I have heard formulated before, Jupiter's, I believe. And Whiskey, with your role, you would be well aware that your boss doesn't like the Yakuza. He only tolerates them when they don't interfere with his business. And as far as he's concerned, his business is the sex trade in London. So he doesn't like the Yakuza who run the Banraku parlors. Banraku? Basically, the love doll parlors. He doesn't like that business muscling in on his territory. However,
I think Slowman would have also problems with that.
Problems with what?
Quote-unquote love doll dens.
Yes, which the Vori also use. But again, that's Sloman's not in on this conversation right now because Novi just doesn't trust Sloman or Heinrich to be rational about Hayes. But I'm just saying, for Whiskey's context, her boss tolerates the Yakuza as long as they stay out of his way, and in his opinion, they're not out of his way often enough. So, Whiskey, it's up to you whether or not you want to decline this objective to try and dissuade your fellows from pursuing it, or to just say, yeah, I'm not telling my boss.
For now, Whiskey will go along and probably not tell her boss. And I figure her boss doesn't want an all-out, whatchamacallit, gang war against the Yakuza, so her brand of opposing Yakuza probably wouldn't be to his liking. Hey, if she gets new yen, she gets new yen. She's out on her own first. Or for her own first.
Well,
Frosty, do you actually want to talk?
I can, but I feel it's thematically more appropriate to have those texts when it's in text.
Yes, so you're sending them as text, but the recording can't read your texts for you. Unless you want to get like a text-to-speech thing, so that like you type out your messages and then have a robotic voice recite them.
I might need to remember that with my
just went silent.
regular guy later. But so Scraphound sent a message. So, do we have any new leads on finding this hazy fellow, or are we still on the mercy of this ballroom bar bets?
Well, actually, that's kind of, I think, why all this came up. A contact of mine might be useful in that department.
Rin stating, I believe we had a potential idea for luring him out. And I think now we have an even better one. If he's tracking someone, it's much easier to plant a lure.
Well, my contact has reason to believe that blood mage the toxic mage that Hayes has been hired to look for might be a necromancer.
Well, guess that's the
And-
start or something.
So we look for zombies and skeletons. Do we have to go to graveyards or something and see, look if there's disturbed graves around?
I mean, I would guess that a necromancer needs bodies, but it's graveyards are but one source in London to get those.
Sewers would probably be another. And the Thames, obviously. I don't know how well those bodies will be after being in that water for a while.
Would the necromancer care?
If he wants the body... if he wants the body to work.
Ren will say, we don't need the toxic mage if we can pretend the toxic mage is somewhere we want to ambush Hayes.
That's actually a pretty darn good idea there, Ren. Do we have any idea where we want to ambush Hayes, and whether any of these would be likely hangouts for the toxic mage?
Which is exactly what Hauser's contact Hamlin was compiling and will be made available to you basically within a 24-hour period.
And the
So who wants to wear a black robe? Be all spooky.
I think whoever it is will have to be...
Sorry, we'll have to be what?
magical.
For what?
If Hayes is indeed a mage, as we all believe he is, instead of just an adept, then he'll be able to see whether or not someone's magical. If they're not magical, there's no way they could be a necromancer.
Yes, but you don't necessarily need him to see the false target. Just have him be assured the false target's just around the corner, kind of thing.
But there's no need for someone to be wearing a black robe.
I mean, unless somebody really, really wants to play dress up. I mean, I'm fresh out of black robes, but, you know, somebody else.
Ren will
Oh,
say,
my hopes and dreams are all dashed. Puts a camera away.
Ren will say, ideally, a place that's also magically threatening to Hayes, or rather, I don't know about it. Someone described it like a void
On a
zone,
void.
negative place, somewhere that's corrupted. We could easily make use of one of the many abandoned or less used drug houses, or other more, what's the word, toxic sites.
According to
And
my
it-
contact, most of these supposed mana ebbs or mana voids are actually aspected domains towards the toxic mages. So they would actually, if Hayes is actually shaman instead of a toxic mage, that would be weakening his ability to use his. I will have a list of such places, both toxic and just straight up toxic aspected sites, or straight up mana ebbs and voids within 24 hours within London.
Praxis, you had something?
No, I was basically just gonna say what Hauser just said.
Ah, okay. Desperado?
Yeah, I guess I have to break the bad news to Mary that we aren't going to be able to help her out, because it doesn't sound like we need her help for this anymore. Oh well.
She did, well, you're called Bashojo, how much of a bitch you want to be. Um, but you've already lined up a potential safe house option through Rin. Does it hurt to have more help? To be on the other, do you want to lose a point of loyalty from a special contact?
I guess not, but here's the thing. If I want if I want to stay on the good side of Miss Morgan, we're gonna need to give her a place to lie low, and I think Rin's bosses might dock her pay a little if we do that.
So you're that mercenary, eh?
Well, putting it to the group. Basically, I know. Rin, how much do you think they'd knock off for the use of one of those safe houses? And does the group think that having a extra magical consultant on call would be worth the amount that's docked off? But otherwise, yes.
Well, as it is now, I don't think we have any mages.
Foxtrot.
Yeah, well,
Hauser doesn't
know, so that would be where Bishojo or Rin would probably pop up and say, "Oh, one of Jupiter's friends has apparently got some magical ability," but I think that's it.
We might want a second at the very least.
Well, I'm on it trying to find another.
I would ask my magical contacts, but he's quite an unlucky fellow. The point of falling down a hole in a building.
Rin is getting salty again and says, I have no idea. I was doing this because it was the right thing to do dealing with Hayes. I forgot you don't have a job, or I suppose being an expert in slumming it, perhaps you should decide how much it's worth to you. Yeah, like, it sounds like Rin is starting to channel Orchid.
Well, that's just it. How much is your boss going to charge us? I mean, seriously, you said it would cost us, but you haven't said how much.
Also, I'm not working for the Yakuza. Well, I mean, but I don't want to be on call for the Yakuza for whatever type of job they might got, because that's not good for me.
Wait, when the Yakuza came into the picture?
Oh, did she not reveal that yet?
Nope, but Whiskey just did.
Okay. No, then Whiskey would not have said
No,
that.
roll a composure for Whiskey. This sounds like
Whiskey
exactly
wouldn't know. If she hasn't been told, how would she know?
Because remember, you rolled a common sense to figure it out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her tattoos are obviously. And her talking about boss mean most likely a Yakuza boss.
And Rin says, okay, I have no idea how much New Yen. As said, it's probably more that I'm just going to wind up owing him more favors.
Well,
Whiskey, I think you let the cat out of the bag. Although a second later, you're like backpedaling, like, if it's Yakuza at all.
well, if it makes you feel better, you'll probably be owed a favor or two by Mary Morgan, and it'll keep her on my good side. So we'll negotiate the details after we find out how much it's worth to your bosses to get Hayes on their side.
And Rin will say, it's Yakuza, okay? I'm Yakuza.
Oh, how about
That just gets Hauser to
Well, I'm a variety of London gangs.
greet her in Japanese.
Sorry, he's saying something to her in Japanese?
Just some honorary greeting.
Ah, okay. So he's trying to show some respect.
Yeah.
Okay. Jupiter, you've been pretty quiet about this deliberation. Do you feel that it would be beneficial to the mission to have a secondary magical consultant?
It can't hurt.
And while Hauser's Japanese is not bad, 4 ranks in it, so it's pretty good.
Okay, Rin, make the call. See what you can do. Please?
Mind's blown! The shoujo said please to Ren.
Again, she doesn't actually disrespect me any more than anybody else. At least in her mind. I mean, whether she's been acting that way or not, I'll leave up to you.
Ren says, all right, I will inform Mr. O then we accept and make the call. And, all right. So, since we are coming up to a break here, Frosty's typing something, so I'll let Frosty...
Well, I was just going to type a text message saying that as long as I get paid enough to pay my rent and other crap needed for living,
At which point
I don't
everyone's
care
like,
who's paying it.
and at which point, like, everyone's like, okay, we get you, drone guy, we get you.
No, he has a good attitude.
All right. So Mary Morgan will be like, okay, well, it's not getting the cops off my tail, but sure, I guess I'm going to bring the Yakuza in as accomplices to this misunderstanding, which isn't really a misunderstanding, but it is, because I only ran because I thought they were coming after me for something else. It doesn't matter. Thank you very much for setting this up for me, Bishojo.
Yeah, I'm just sorry I couldn't do anything better for you, but we tried.
It'll either blow over or I'm moving. Like I was going. Anyway, yeah, it's just like apparently being associated with a certain cowled fish seems to irk some people something pretty fierce.
I don't think Machojo knows that name.
Well, no, it's the suggestion that basically when somebody else found out that Mary Morgan was in contact with Callie, it apparently spun out of control very rapidly, basically saying that, oh, you're a terrorist because you're in association with a terrorist. And she's like, no, what? Excuse me while I run away.
Well, I have some friends with the IRA.
Oh, God. That's not something you tell police. To be fair, she didn't know she was talking to a police officer. It was kind of an undercover thing. Anyway, so she's appreciative. And just before we come up to the break, I just want to say what Mary Morgan will be able to do for you based on the information that you've received from Hamlin. She will review it and say, all right, so he's got a lot of good, solid information for you here, except this whole necromancer angle he seems to be working doesn't quite mesh with as technology sending Hayes. It's more likely to be someone who would be on the same page as Hayes in some way. Hayes is notably a shaman. He has done a great deal in North and South America and Central America. And necromancy is more of a old world thing. I mean, at least the form that this Hamlin guy is referring to. So in Mary Morgan's professional opinion, the necromancer angle is not correct. Hayes is more likely to be going after a specific blood mage or an Aztec mage or maybe a druid who follows a blood ritual pact or something. With that narrowing it down, sites which, according to Hamlin's research, seem to indicate an aspect towards blood magic, sacrifices, or the like, will be boop, 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 boop. And she'll basically give you 4 locations for blood magic that, most likely lean towards the druidic tradition. One location that's aspected towards Aztec tradition, the Aztec tradition, and then 2 or 3 just straight up mana ebbs that could be conceivably used as, a well disguised hiding place for a powerful blood magician. So, she gives you 8 locations that could work to your benefit.
All right.
Out of a list of how many?
Dozens, like 24 to 30. So I'll say someone roll 1d6 plus 25.
That work? 29.
So 29 locations in total in London.
Narrowed it down to 8.
Hey, that's good. That means that 21 things that might have tipped Hayes off to the game just went away. And this kind of actually works pretty well with Jupiter's plan. After all, if the Yakuza owed a debt to the fathers of Dick or Chad, well, Dick or Chad themselves might not know anything about it, right?
Right.
So this whole idea that we're there to protect them and they don't know it isn't actually far-fetched if we're doing it as a service of the Yakuza.
That's a good idea.
And it takes away the Yakuza debt.
I am not quite following the whole plan and connections here, but as long as my role and the plan stays about the same, I'm fine with it.
Is that you as a player or Whiskey?
Me as a player, honestly.
Okay, so what they're saying is we have Chad and Dick. They are our fall guys. They are going to somehow convince Hayes. That part of the plan is still a little bit hazy. Pun not intended, but there you have it. They're going to convince Hayes that you should come to this place with us because it totally has something you're looking for. And Hayes will very likely ask them, how do you know what I'm looking for? And then that's where you have to convince Chad and Dick somehow without incriminating yourselves that they have figured out why Hayes is in London. You have to feed them information in such a way that it can't be traced back to you, and that these 2 idiots can somehow piece it together on their own that they should contact Hayes with, hey man, we got the best thing ever for you. So that's the real trick here. How do you convince a couple of idiots to do something smart?
And then when they go and meet Hayes, then we do the whole trap thing.
Exactly. And your excuse for Rin, Jupiter, and Bishojo is that the Yakuza hired you 3 to protect Chad and Dick. And Hayes is just caught in the crossfire. So that's when Hauser, Whiskey, and the Scrap Hound start doing suppressive fire and trap haze in whatever kill box you happen to prearrange, which is why a limited number of locations is very handy. It gives somebody who has, say, maybe some flying drones the opportunity to scout those locations out to see just how effective a kill box might be. Or someone who has military training or combat tactics, for example.
Both.
Yeah. And where was I?
But we have to do it all very quickly so that Hayes doesn't catch on to the fact that no one is really being hit by the shots.
Oh, well, we've already established that to really sell it, someone's probably going to have to get hit.
Hauser's going to hit Bishojo. And sorry about this, Bishojo, but it will be lethal ammunition. Stick and shock ain't going to cut it.
Well, that's the problem. That might actually kill her because she doesn't wear armor much.
But the targets, the apparent targets, still won't be hit because we don't want to hit them.
Right. We want to make it look like you're trying to take Chad and Dick alive.
Hey, and a few maimed body parts might make Bishojo less sexy, which is what she wants, right?
Oh, wait a minute. There's that.
No, that's something you don't know. So, yeah, but we'll have to wait to see how that happens.
It wasn't OC comments, so.
But Chad and Dick, I mean, they don't both have to survive. You can make up a story for whichever one is more important to the Yakuza or the people trying to kill him, or capture him. Scrap Hound will say, "I could shoot you, but I don't think you would appreciate explosive fragmentation."
Yeah, well, I've seen what Hauser usually chucks in that gun, and it's even worse. So maybe.
Well,
I'm starting to feel like I'm the. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, that was about it. Whiskey would comment that she has a crime cannon.
Yeah, you should probably intentionally pull your shots with that.
And Scrap Hound, you were about to say?
Yeah, I was about to say that. Oh God, my brain just went completely blank. Oh, that will come to me if it will.
Okay. So Rin says if you hit, at least it's convincing, or if you whichever. I mean, exploding bullets, missing people are still really fucking scary because, hey, look, that cement wall just started getting turned into Swiss cheese. That's pretty fucking scary.
All right, and yeah, and I was saying that if that Dick and Chad wouldn't know we're there to protect them, and if it's a Yakuza thing, that's entirely, dealing with their fathers, that's entirely realistic.
Indeed. And Bishojo's outfit and Rin's, Rinness make Yakuza quite obvious. The wild card there would be Jupiter, but Jupiter is your best bet at actually convincing Hayes of anything, so you'll have to come up with a good reason for why Jupiter would be there, other than maybe trying to convince Chad and Dick to keep their heads low or something.
I know why. Jupiter is the close bodyguard. The one that could blend in easiest. Rin sticks out a little bit because of her looks. Same with Bishojo.
Bishojo really sticks out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense.
They're the heavy arms. Jupiter is the one that gets close and just convinces people to walk away if there's any trouble starting.
Yep, that's very feasible. That's very sensible and feasible.
Jupiter is the soft protection. Rin and Bishojo are the hard protection.
Frosty, think of this like Surgeon Simulator. Yeah, you could use the scalpel, but you can also use the hammer,
Or a hatchet.
or the electric clock. Apparently, people have done speed runs with that. But then Rin says, "I wouldn't want to use it. However, if we have to, my status in the Yakuza is easy enough for anyone to cross-reference. If we need to sell it to Hayes, he couldn't be that much of an idiot."
Out of character. Famous last words. Actually, maybe even in character.
I think on that note, though, we will take our break because we're a little bit past what I intended for our break period. And shall we reconvene in 15? Well, I mean, if you want to make a butcher as your next character, that could be interesting, although Killjoy might take issue with you not being artistic enough.
No, in this case, it's just linguistic butchering.
Okay. Well, what other activities did you all want to get up to while waiting for the intel dump from Mary Morgan and Hamlin? Rin will say, "I don't want this repeated, but since you are all well enough into this already, I am not just Rin. I am Inagawa Rin, last head of the Inagawa family, and the head enforcer for one of the 3 heads of the Yakuza in London." Frosty, you wanna
Grafhound will just send a message. Neat.
Well, I'm Whiskey, and I serve drinks and beat people up. Or do other criminal stuff. Yes.
don't forget your seduction.
Oh yes, and I'm also the sexiest woman on this side of London.
Well, as long as I get to keep all my body parts, including my head, I don't really care. Don't
Same
recognize those names.
In
They sound
Japanese,
foreign.
Hauser will say, "That's quite an impressive title."
So, out of character, Whiskey sets Hauser up for some blonde bimbo. He feels like, ugh, that was no, just no. And now it's like, ooh, I'm gonna get me some of this Rin.
No.
I'll say I meant this.
Maybe Hauser's just into getting pieces cut off of him at this point.
I meant this in case we need to sell it to Hayes. I don't give much care of what you think of it. It just might be useful.
Okay. We'll have to keep that in mind. Hopefully, we won't have to. I mean, most people, particularly ones who aren't used to combat, they get pinned down by machine gun fire. They tend to stop asking questions real quick other than, how do I get out of this?
Doubt this Hayes is much of a normal fellow, though.
Yeah, but he seems to be more the kind of social seducer type rather than somebody who's actually used to being shot at that often. But that's why it's good to have backup plans.
You seem to forget, though, our target is probably used to this, if nothing else, has probably been in worse situations, likely of his own doing. A sniper. What kind of ranks would a sniper have? I don't know. What is sergeant?
I'd assume it's the same as any other military. rank, but
I think they can.
Would
do-
Hauser have been an officer or not?
Do snipers usually end up in officer training, or do they come from non-commissioned?
You'd be working your way up through non-commissioned, but you could actually start out as an officer and then go through sniper training pretty easily.
But
To be an officer, you usually have to be an educated individual, though, right?
Yeah. Currently, U.S.
Yeah.
military is you have to have some kind of college degree to go to officer school.
Okay, so did
Yeah.
Hauser go to college or university, Hunter? Or did he enroll as a soldier?
based on his age, it's possible he went through college before he went into the military.
More, is it based on his logic and intuition stats? Are they above average?
Those are both 3.
3. So either or. I mean, he wasn't too dumb to make it into university, but he also wasn't so smart that he had to go to university.
With his positive quality of being born rich, he was probably told to go and wasn't really expected to do well because of his rich background.
I also don't think it's so much that snipers come from officer background. I think a lot of snipers get commando training if they turn out to be very good.
Oh yeah, he has
And when you
special
get
forces.
solid commando training, I think you can go much higher into the ranks.
That is true. Special forces tend to end up climbing ranks very quickly if they desire it.
So corporal? Corporal sound good for you?
Yeah. He does still have a CEO. Well, had before he left. Yeah. Corporal, probably best. That's at minimum Lance Corporal?
All the same, he'd be introducing himself as corporal. Is that what you're saying?
At minimum, since special forces would probably be higher for his time of Japan.
So probably some variety of sergeant, since those can go from,
Gunnery
just
sergeant.
basic sergeant E5 all the way up to, command sergeant major E9.
All
Gunnery
the same,
sergeant.
that's something that we can flesh out later. It's not really pertinent to the mission, is it?
No, just with the being reminded about the fact that Rin has a title. I was wondering what his rank was before.
Okay. So, Novi, still in contact, would just like to verify what it is that you want from her, Sloman, and Sir Heinrich von Wilhelm in this whole mission.
If memory serves, the original plan, I think, was going to be that Heinrich would take care of any spirits summoned by Hayes, although, depending on how strong of a null zone, so to speak, we take him to, that might not be an issue at all.
So, is there something else you would prefer Heinrich do? Rim says, if we need him, we might need alongside our drone specialists an assault team to attack us and Hayes. Something I'm sure he would be happy to do, deluded into thinking he could. Novi will say, well, I mean, once he goes in, I'm not sure about reining him back out.
Have I worked with Heinrich before? On whiskey? I'm not sure.
I don't believe so. I'll just consult my chart here. Rim will say, as said, in that case, I will take care of that. Novi will wince, not that you can see it, and say, I'd like to avoid that happening, if I may, Mrs. Rin. Considering that he's been known to hold grudges, like that Athena woman. It wasn't really her fault that she hit Sloman, but I mean, Sir Heinrich still kind of holds her responsible for it. I mean, I don't want anything. I like working with you, and I don't want to see him getting all pissy about it.
Sorry, but how hard is it to rein an old man in?
You've seen what he. Oh no, you haven't seen what he wears.
Yeah, that's why I asked if...
Okay, just a second. I'm going to send you a file. If you could be so kind as to delete it after the fact, that would be swell. Let me just put an encryption on it, and I'm just going to roll a quick encryption here as Novi, if I can find our character sheet. I'm sure I had it open. There we go. Novi, Genevieve, Bushane, Sancho Panza. Skills. Oh, great. And then my charmer. Oh, no, my charmer didn't freeze up. Yay! So computers. Yes, whatever. Yeah, okay. Gear. Comlink. Never mind. She can't encrypt it. Well, okay, this will be, here's the file. Actually, you know what? No, she has at least one trick up her sleeve. She's a bright girl, so, impersonate.
Or, we could just take her word for it.
Oh, no, she wants to show Whiskey what she's getting involved in.
Meanwhile, not that anybody can hear it, but Shoujo's laughing her ass off listening to this conversation because she has seen Heinrich.
So, Whiskey, do you happen to have decrypt on your comlink?
Checking, 1 second.
It's doubtful. I mean...
No, not decrypt. I got
Right,
encrypt.
Give me a common sense roll, please. Okay, yeah, Whiskey, you'll be able to tell that basically the file extension was changed. So you just have to change it back to a file format that is a type of picture. And then you'll be able to view the file, and you'll see Sir Heinrich's armor minus the helmet and his big fucking sword.
Oh, that's a nice one. Maybe I'll steal that off him sometime. Never mind.
Yeah, good luck with that. That's what he looks like when he's ready to actually fight. He may look like an old man who's kind of crazy because he is, but that doesn't mean he's a pushover.
Yeah, he accidentally killed somebody by kicking them.
I remember that.
Killer? No, I have not accidentally killed someone with kicking. Broke some bones though.
You know what they say about judging books by their covers.
Rim will say, yes, I have worked with him before, and I have seen what he can do, and as I said, I can keep him busy if worse comes to pass. Or Novi's like, yeah, okay, okay, cool, just, I'll
We'll
do
try
what
to avoid that, though.
yeah.
In the meantime, I guess you guys can keep trying to find out what you can about Hayes. If somebody's been digging around for info on him, it'll make it that much easier to sell whatever story we come up with for him. Right?
I can keep digging. I mean, I
Indeed.
feel like I've dig whatever I can dug, but I can keep trying.
Not to. Oh, wait. Ren says to Novi, if you have other ideas, would you prefer us try to convince him that Hayes is not the monster he is likely rightly convinced he is? Novi will sigh and say, that's. If any of you think you can, by all means, give it a shot, but Sloman seems to have more sway over Heinrich on this one than I do. But I was just going to say, not to be tooting my own horn too much, but I am a bit of a Shadowrun legend buff. Whoever it is that's doing research on Hayes, I should probably do it with you. The only issue is like somebody should keep an eye on Heinrich, and I don't trust Sloman with him right now. So I don't know if any of you want to keep an eye on him for me.
So the alternative is that when the three of us are taking Hayes away, or bringing Hayes away, could we possibly lead Heinrich to believe that we're taking him away to have him killed?
Punished, just justice. I mean,
Like what I said earlier.
Yes.
Convince Heinrich that we're taking him to someone who can punish him appropriately for his crimes.
The thing about Heinrich is he is a very well-defined sense of morality, is the best way I can put it. He will feel obligated to personally deliver Hayes to whatever arbitrator you may suggest he be brought to. And Heinrich will be quite determined that he should be involved in that judiciary process. Ren will say, shall I keep him occupied with training in a classical dojo? I'm sure I can buy at least 6 hours. More if I have to show him around cultures he isn't used to. Actually, you know what? That's probably a really good idea, Ren, Novi will reply.
Yeah, you can show him the whole what's the samurai thing? Is it Bishojo? Is that the whole samurai code thing?
Bushido?
Live and die by the blade.
Oh yeah, Bushido thing. I think that might appeal to him if he's as you described him to be.
Live and die by the blade.
You'd already said that.
Well, I
didn't
don't
finish
too,
the
but
end.
I don't intend to die by the blade too much.
Just die a little. Just a tiny bit.
Oh, what are you complaining about, you wuss? It's just a little death. Get back up again.
Ren will say, then that is likely for the best. She will say, ignoring Whiskey's butchering. I can keep him busy, and you can all put in some legwork. Plus, it will also let me feel him out in case we need to cross blades later. Okay, you didn't have to mention that part, Ren. But yeah, okay. I'll talk to him and say that as a fellow expert in the art of the blade, you would like to invite him to share in some friendly sparring. I'm sure he'll be quite enthralled.
I'd enjoy some sparring as well later. I mean, that sword he wielded in that pick was pretty badass.
Just keep the sparring vertical. Sounds like Abraxas and Bishojo had basically the same idea.
Ren will say, then Whiskey, why don't you come by after you hit any dead ends so we can keep him busy longer?
Sure thing. The thing I'm chasing might be a very quick dead end, but we'll see.
I'm gonna have to roll another composure for Novi. Oh wow, wow. So Novi's going to be very mature about this, and will state, "I'm not sure that is entirely appropriate. I realize that I'm perhaps a little hypocritical in saying this, considering some people may feel that I take advantage of Sir Heinrich's perception of reality, but I'm not sure he would be of sound mind for legally consenting to something of that nature. I mean, certainly he is of age, but mentally, I think there could be certain moral restrictions you may want to consider for
I
all
wasn't
that's
going to
worth.
shag him.
Oh. Well, okay, I thought I heard somebody say about doing this horizontal. Never mind. I'm sorry. I thought, okay.
No, the other
Bishojo
people
said
said
keep
that.
it vertical.
But after that talk, Whiskey would kind of eventually go, I wasn't going to shag him. I really mean he has a badass sword and I'd like to do some sword fighting. Jesus Christ. You think you people are dirty-minded? You think I do nothing else but shag?
I wouldn't know you well enough to say for sure, but I've heard that you've danced at the Hammersmith on more than one occasion. And I may have seen some of those occasions.
And didn't you just not too long ago boast that you're a sexy beast or something to Ren?
Well, yes, it's the whole work hard, play hard dynamic, you know?
Yes, you certainly haven't been projecting other images.
So Bob says Sir Heinrich will accept and will be very happy to spend some time with Rin because he fancies her. Novi will leave that part out. Okay, so Novi will team up with who wants Novi? Jupiter, Scraphound, Bishojo, Whiskey, Hauser.
Hauser is definitely not the one. So,
And Whiskey is on her way to track down Montesen, basically.
Well, it comes down to Jupiter or Scraphound, I think.
I mean, she could go with Bishojo. But then again, Bishojo also might very well accompany one of these two.
Who was she running away from?
Voin.
Yeah, I would run away too if I knew.
I'll tell you what, Novi, go with team up with Scrap Hound and see what she can dig on the internet. I'll team up with Jupiter and see what we can dig up more in person. If we can do that quietly-ish.
What about feeding information into Chad and Dick? Or are you not ready for that yet?
Yeah, that's basically, I don't think we've decided how we're going to do that, which should probably be the next thing we figure out.
And
Agreed.
it looks like I'm with you again, Whiskey.
Whiskey, do you want Hauser to help you look for Montenson?
Well, he can come along, but I will say, last time a little fellow, well, you're not as little a fellow as him, but last time another person went with him to Monson, he kind of grabbed them, and it got pretty scary, I think, for him.
Actually, Bowser is the same size as Mike, I believe. 6 foot.
Well, then she will still say that Mike was a little bit littler, just to put Hauser at ease.
Yeah, Hauser's a bit buffer, I think. Strength
But
of
yeah, this guy is like bigger than me, so he's also pretty good in a fight, and he might not like me visiting him.
Well then,
I'll
maybe
come
all the
along
more
still.
reason that the guy with the giant gun comes along. That way you can bail each other out of trouble if it comes to that.
Alright. But I really don't want to put a bullet in him.
If he's as big as you say, especially if he's a mage.
And there are some scumbaggy gangers that hang around his place, at least last time we were there, so don't
I've
mind
got no
them
problem with
getting
them.
shot.
I've got no problem shooting them.
Out of character, I don't think those gangers are a problem anymore to anyone.
Well, gangers are like cockroaches.
Yeah, but those specific ones, they're
Yeah, no, those
pretty-
specific ones, I think...
Turned into art.
one of them got a little slicey.
Yeah, I think
and
one got
dicey.
away, but I hope he has learned his lesson.
Got away? You threw him away. And I don't know if any of you have been paying attention other
Bad
than
luck.
Kara, but
Ouch.
yeah, I kind of wish that I had a webcam just so you could all see the look on my fucking face when that happened. Yeah, so Scrap Hound, whereabouts would you meet up with Novi for this?
I think I would be so kind and pick her up in my car, because that's pretty much where I'm staying at the moment.
Okay. So when you two get to surfing the Matrix, she's basically going to fangirl override you. And just like when you're looking for information on Hayes, she'll be like, oh, and Hayes knows this person, who knows this person, who knows, and basically just go on this huge tangent of all of the jack pointers that she has been basically following for her life at this point. And you'll realize after quite some time that she's actually been able to keep you on this tangent for a surprisingly long time.
Yeah. I think Scrap Hound's nerves are getting a little tense about the fan.
But maybe you'll get lucky. Go ahead and roll your edge ×2 for me, please. I mean, she mentioned someone named Winterhawk. She mentioned somebody named Elijah. That she mentions, who else would it be? Who's the person that hates Hayes? Pistons?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pistons. So yeah, she basically mentions those three, which kind of stick out to you, but I mean, you're not sure if any of them could actually be helpful in this situation. But basically, Elijah and Winterhawk are both mages who probably sound like they'd be a good foil for Hayes. They're both more, well, they're hermetic mages and very, if not moral, they at least have a very systemic approach to professional and magical academia kind of thing. Like they're the unhazes of magic, you could say. And Pistons is the person who, according to Novi, compiled the slam piece, the smear campaign to suggest that Hayes wasn't anything other than, you know, a legendary Shadowrunner who just happens to be a little bit on the darker side. But I mean, he's not like he's Kane. I mean, Kane's killed thousands of people by now. You know, but Kane's still kind of cool too.
Out of character, who's Kane?
Kane is the pirate captain who basically do what you want to because a pirate is free. You are a pirate. That's Kane in the Shadowrun setting.
Okay.
Except a lot more bloodthirsty and violent. He likes to sell organs in their original packaging.
Oh, how quaint.
Yeah, basically the one thing that Cade has going for him is that he's not Hayes. He's never pretended to be anything other than exactly what he is.
Although on the few occasions where he gets close to pretending he's something else, it's usually Hayes who points it out and says, "Hey, why are you calling the pot kettle black thing here, man? Like, come on."
Also, he likes Dev Girl, so that he can't be all bad.
What?
Dev Girl, I think, no, that makes him worse. At least if you ask Bull or Slammo.
Oh, that's another legendary Shadowrunner. Okay.
But basically,
I thought you said dead girls, and I'm like,
Dev,
what?
Dev. But this is basically what Novi keeps Scraphound busy with for hours. Just geeking out about her favorite subject, which happens to be the legendary Shadowrunners.
I mean, it's giving Scraphound something to go after, so that's good, but fangirling, it's a little bit of tensity, you know. Maybe not the favorite subject of an unsocial person. Well, maybe not unsocial, but socially limited person.
What's his charisma rating?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's not the worst.
Yeah, that's why I said socially limited.
Does he have uncouth?
No.
Okay, so at least he's not Nuclear Snake.
Yeah, that, like I said, limited, not socially, well, horrible. I mean, Nuclear Snake, probably the worst kind of a person to talk with. He might just run you over with a hacked car.
So yeah, eventually you'll probably be able to get back on track. Do you want her to keep helping you, or are you done with Novi and you want to send her to someone else to be their problem.
I'll roll another composure and see how he's feeling. Well, I think that's good enough to try and, you know, live with the fact that she's fangirling and get the help, since Scrap Hound really needs the, the quote-unquote guiding hand in this.
All right, she'll give you a +4 on your next roll then.
But yeah, in the meantime, how the heck are we going to get these two to get Hayes anywhere?
Should we let Whiskey go first so that El Diablo can go, and then we can do ours?
That is very smart.
So, El Diablo, you going up to Monteson's door and what, knocking on it?
Well, first check out to see if the building looks at all like, if it doesn't look like completely abandoned suddenly or something.
It already did. The first time
Okay,
you were
so
there,
no
it looked
change
completely abandoned.
And
So I guess eventually then she'll walk around the building a bit, and if nothing happens, we will indeed start knocking on the door.
oh, and currently Hauser does not have either of his big guns. He just has his Beretta.
What was that, Kara?
Purely test roll. It's clearly labeled.
Ha ha! What was it a test of? See, what you should have said was purely. But anyway, I would like Whiskey to roll edge ×2 and Hauser to roll edge ×1.
User entered your channel.
Hello, Bubba.
Bravo, Whiskey!
God damn it!
You bring a Bobob back with your glitch. At least it wasn't critical. Well, there's the question. Do you want to use an edge to remove the glitch or just leave the glitch?
Let me have a look. I have 3 edge left. Yeah, I think I'll use an edge to remove the glitch, because I really can't use long-term trouble right now. Did that come through?
Indeed it did.
Okay, okay. Yeah, lowered my edge, now left 2 edge.
All right. So one of the bedraggled stragglers from the pier nearby will approach you. They seem to be walking towards you with intent. Do you want to roll a judge intention?
Yes, I think so. I don't want to get almost raped again.
Bobob, activate your microphone. You can tell that they don't seem hostile, but they do recognize you, and they do seem to want to speak to you, Whiskey.
Alright, then, hello there. You're the welcoming party for the day, eh?
Your welcoming demeanor will actually cause them to stop further away than they intended to get. Like you've put them on their toes, basically. Yeah, but it'll take them a moment. They'll nod their head slowly and say, "You come back from Monteson, haven't you?"
Aye. Is he still working around here?
He's he came by once after he got out of prison and gave a very particular message to anyone who came by, and another even more particular message for you or the little one that was with you.
Huh. Is it a message in words or in action?
It's words. It's words.
Oh, okay. Well, lay it on me then.
He said if you want anything from him, you're going to have to pay for it. I don't have all the details. He made it very clear what his exact words were when he picked me up, and he says he's not coming back here ever again. So.
Yeah, burned hide out, I understand that. How can I pay him to be in contact with him then?
He shakes his head and it's like, "You didn't tell me that. All I know is that he gave me enough to keep me warm and safe here, and in exchange, that's all he wanted me to do was if you showed up to tell you what I told you, and if anybody else shows up to tell them what he told me to tell them."
Alright, well, guess I have to spread my ears around elsewhere then. Thank you for the message.
They'll give a slight nod and say, yep, you're welcome, and then back away slowly before turning slower to return to the shanty town.
They're probably looking every corner for a jester.
Oh, Whiskey will return to Hauser and go, well, but this place, bit of a bust still. He's out on the market still apparently. I just have no idea where to find him and how to get in touch with him.
Hey.
He had this boy leave a message here that, well, working with him is gonna cost money, and that he was not here anymore, and that, I don't know, should send the word out maybe?
Well, I don't know exactly.
Suppose Pirate and I did visit that whole college house once thing to first look for him. Maybe should give that a try. Ever been to college? Magic college?
Magic college, no. I didn't pay much attention in college.
Well, let's give it a go then.
Lead the way. Do you know this place better than I do?
Yep, and I'm afraid that's not very well, so this is gonna be an adventure. Which might end us getting our asses thrown out on the lawn or something. And Whiskey would drive them towards where they first looked for Monteson back in the mission. The kind of college underground house thing.
Indeed. And to cut to the chase, you'll be directed by a campus security guard that the Professor Benjamin Prontug has requested that you be brought to his office or escorted off the campus.
We'll go to the office, I guess. At least that's what Whiskey would want. I don't know how Hauser feels about this.
We will follow along.
So, brought to his office, he'll look at the two of you and say, welcome. He sounds a bit annoyed.
Well, thank you for having us.
You're welcome. I must say it's a bit surprising to see yourself again, Madame. Though I'm not sure if we technically met in person. And I don't believe I recognize the gentleman with you, but may I ask what brought you to the warehouse on the pier and to the campus today?
Well, I was hoping to actually engage with some business with Mr. Montesen. I'm having me and my friend here are having to deal with a rather troubling magic problem. Specifically, we need some information on some potentially very dangerous mages that are hiding out around London.
So as soon as he seemed very interested until you said information, and then he looked annoyed again. He says, "Need I remind you, our speciality is not intelligence. It is permanent solutions."
Aye, well, eventually the permanent solution will come to them if we find them, and it's also kind of a thing that, we would like to be permanent solutions to magical problems.
Now he just raises an eyebrow like, what the fuck? But he doesn't say anything. He just looks utterly flabbergasted. He'll look to Hauser as well and hope that Hauser can elaborate in a more just explain.
Well, what my friend here has not clearly said. The mage that we're after is not the mage. There are two mages that we're trying to find.
Let me just stop you right there.
I understand.
If it isn't a matter of wanting either of these mages to be deceased in the very near future, you have come to the wrong place.
Even if it's about blood mages?
Okay, that will pique his interest back again and say, you suggest that a blood mage is in the area?
One of the mages.
At this point, we have Hamlet's information, right?
Yeah.
Timeline-wise, this would be... It's your choice if you want to wait for Hamlin's information or if you would have done this while waiting for Hamlin's information.
I think...
I would say while. But because this would be before Mary Morgan told us about Hamlin's idea of a necromancer
User disconnected from your channel.
being most likely being wrong. So probably while we're waiting. But this would be after talking to Hamlin and finding out that he suspects it to be a necromancer or some other really bad toxic mage.
So, considering it was Whiskey who prompted this, El Diablo, what is your decision on when this is taking place?
I would like to. I would at this point hopefully have Hamlin's list of possible locations towards blood mages, Aztec mages, that sort of thing, because that might be a bargaining chip here.
All right, so you would have waited for Hamlin's information, but not wait for Mary Morgan to give her take on it.
Yes.
User in your channel
So
is recording.
proceed.
So we got this very big list of blood mages and a few other strange mages, something about a necromancer even.
Not a list of that. It's a list of aspected regions and mono. Aspected
Yeah.
towards toxic, not
Yeah, and
actually
our
place of
target
theirs.
is actually after one of these targets. So if we found out, so our goal is kind of to find out which target he is going after, so we can go after him.
Again, I'm not sure you understand the nature of this fraternity. However, if you are proposing you have information on blood mages in the area, what is it you expect from us in exchange for that information?
That's a good question, OC, actually.
Well, would it be possible for me to hire you to assassinate supposed necromancer? If indeed there is one.
You would have to be the ones to provide information for this supposed necromancer. We are not a research firm.
How about just combat assistance then?
Absolutely not. We don't dabble in such philanthropy.
So you only want to kill on your own, that's what you mean?
I would never say that we would kill anyone, just that people tend to speak to us when they want someone to be deceased.
Whiskey kind of rolls her eyes at that. Yeah, okay. Well, I suppose you can't really help us at this moment then.
No,
Still.
it doesn't sound... Still?
Still, could maybe we could, if I could I maybe exchange this fine list of these aspected areas I got here in exchange for, well, simply your easy contact information. Because I might have need for your services in the future.
I believe that Monsterson's direct instruction was that a quantity of new yen would need to be paid for a debt before any new contact information be made available.
Is the amount of new yen 10,000? Now be honest
Diablo,
here,
are
you
you
are
there?
professionals.
Did we lose El Diablo?
Am I pressing the wrong button?
Apparently.
Okay. Let's see, what was the last thing you heard?
Myself talking. Like you had said, basically I had said that Monteson's instructions were a debt had to
Oh
be
yes,
paid.
yes.
before-
Okay, then
yeah.
I know what you missed. Okay, so Whiskey would ask, is it 10,000 yen? Now be honest here, you are professionals.
He did not actually specify the amount to me, but that does sound like a standard fee.
All right then. Would you be able to get the payment to Mr. Montezon?
I think it would be more appropriate that I make the arrangement for Montezon to collect the payment.
That sounds fine to me.
Very good, then. If you could just give me your address.
All right, and Whiskey will give the Hammersmith's address, I guess.
And he'll take a moment to just look it up online and say, truly, you reside within a tavern establishment.
Above a tavern establishment. And
Very
I
well.
work there on my off hours.
I see. Very well, then. And yourself, sir, this is just... You were here with a friend, or was there something more you needed? Pointing to Hauser.
If it comes to pass that we discover information leading directly to this supposed necromancer, I pass this information to you and have you deal with the problem.
We would need to negotiate price, but again, that requires first knowing who and what it is you are actually considering a problem.
I shall keep that in mind. But other than that, no. I was only here along for the ride.
Very good, then. I will have a security guard show you off the campus.
All right, thank you for chatting with us, and hopefully we can do more business, better business in the future.
Hopefully, yes. So out of character, did you just forget that they were an assassin's guild, or what?
Well, kind of, but I was hoping that, they would be willing to do other things besides just assassination. I mean...
But you would... Then you wouldn't go after them. Like that, Monteson's entire routine is linking people who have magical talent to assassination jobs, or assassins to targets who are magical. Like that is literally his career.
But he has to have knowledge and a lot of knowledge about targets for that. So I was kind of mostly hoping that we could get some information out of him in like, all right, if we fight Hayes, what would be good technique? What type of thing will we need to defend ourselves against, that sort of thing?
Then you want to talk to somebody else. He's not a charity case. He has no he has that information. He has no interest in sitting around gabbing about it. It just feels like
I guess we figured that out with this talk. Still, I will hopefully continue because I really wouldn't mind having Montezon as a contact.
Okay, even though you're
future
leaving London shortly.
That's a fair point. I don't know. I have to think on that.
Okie doke.
I did not consider that kind of metagame aspect on that.
And hey, I mean that's the thing about Shadowrun. It's the information technology age. You can have contacts that live on the other side of the planet, and they can still theoretically be useful.
Yep, I still have the IRA contacts that I have never used.
I think you used them once to get ammo, but other than that.
Well, that's better than, Ace that has a cop that he's never talked with, in game.
Yeah,
China.
but we haven't been to China, so
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
okay. So, what did was there anything else you wanted then, Whiskey Hauser?
No, I think that end is pretty dead.
Okay. So Scraphound, you got 10 hits with your edge reroll.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Okay. And that was from 4 to 6 more additional, so. Okay. Excuse me. What kind of
User
information were you
disconnected
looking
from
for
your
on
channel.
Hayes in particular this time?
Honestly, I don't know.
User in your channel is recording.
Okay, well, given that you had Novi there with you, I suppose she could have provided guidance. And
Yeah, that's what I
sorry.
kind of meant earlier when I said that Scraphound needed some guidance, and he would, listen to her fan girling.
Well, she would be able to offer basically some more context to the whole Hayes is an evil villain story, and show that he was most certainly the horrible person who did horrible things, but there are also indications that he has actually tried to change his life around, that he's cleaning up his act, that he is fighting his drug addictions, that he's trying to be a more reputable individual, that he is trying to clear his bad reputation. And not just because, a bad reputation makes being a Shadowrunner more difficult, but because he seems to have expressed a genuine remorse and guilt for some things. But he still contends quite firmly that it was not his fault that Fatima died, and that Pistons is still just out to get him for no good reason. Of course, working with Aztechnology on the flip side does sort of suggest that maybe he's not as genuine as he appears to be about trying to get forgiveness, because people don't usually choose to work for Aztechnology, for especially when they're aware of the whole blood sacrifice thing. But on the other hand, a lot of people end up getting indebted to Aztechnology in one way or another, and they're forced to work for the company. So who's to say, really, if he's still the bad guy or if he's a better person now?
What? Are you saying that the social mage might be duplicitous? Oh, I'm shocked.
No, actually, I'm saying that it looks like he's less duplicitous now than he used to be.
Yeah, but, that could be a ploy.
Well, I don't know, Bob. You could try that with a etiquette roll, and Kara gets to declare the threshold, and then roll to resist. Are we talking like 7 high or higher still? So if you can get 7 hits on an etiquette roll, Heinrich, then Rin will be slightly less hostile. I mean, she's not hostile, but she would be more receptive to Heinrich's advances.
Cold shoulder might turn into just a slightly chilly shoulder.
Maybe even lukewarm.
Or maybe just a shoulder.
Ah, well played. Well played.
That
So
seems a little bit.
Bobob pre-edged and only got 4 hits.
Don't worry, Heinrich. You can seduce Whiskey later.
Well, no, crashing and burning would be glitching. You didn't even get a single one. It's just more that Heinrich is unrequited.
Rin's just cold-blooded.
Wow, a
In
Bobob.
which direction?
Yeah, Whiskey is just too good for Heinrich.
Ah, goodness. But Jupiter, Bishojo, I believe you had some thoughts on the Chad Dick situation.
Or we're going to work together to make thoughts about that situation. Jupiter will ask Bishojo where she wants to meet.
Anywhere that's not another meat locker.
Well, I guess you're not going to Jupiter's place.
Wait, what?
Meat as in man
No,
meat.
I yes. Just... Well... Jupiter suggests a cafe that's nearby. Or something.
Will we be able to talk there without causing problems?
You're right. Somewhere more private might be better.
I mean, if you want to talk about a kidnapping in the middle of a public cafe, I'm cool with that. But you know, might piss the rest of the team off.
I suppose you could come over to my place. Or I could come to your place. I don't know. Whatever you would prefer.
My place isn't much. How's your place?
It's nice.
Alright, but don't think you're getting any farther than that.
What?
I mean, just because I'm going to your place, don't think you can pull any moves on me. I'll break your wrists.
I wasn't going to. Believe me. You're not my type.
That'd be a first. But okay.
Alright, so he, gives you directions.
Alright. Bishojo would drive on over, and yeah, I, out of character, have no idea how we're gonna pull this off.
No, me neither. I'm kind of thinking, like, maybe, what? A black hole? Oh, a black hole. I was kind of thinking maybe a conversation between us off to the side, and they could be like listening in. But then I don't know, or maybe writing something on a paper and having them see it.
The Matrix is a thing. I
Right.
can't stress that heartily enough.
I'm less concerned with how we get the information to them, and more concerned about what we give them. I mean, we got to figure out what he wants, then figure out for a way for them to put it all together that looks like they actually put it all together.
By the way, Bishojo, pretty much your entire time in Jupiter's home, the Roomba will keep bumping into you.
Knowing Bishojo, after about the 4th time, she'll just punt it over to the other side of the room.
Go ahead and give me an unarmed roll.
And if it makes you feel any better, Kara, she'd probably do that to a person, too.
It reduces the damage by 1. What's your unarmed?
The base damage on my unarmed attack is 3 stun.
Jupiter, how do you respond to this?
Sorry, I'm laughing a lot. Jupiter does not think it's funny though. Jupiter awkwardly says something about sorry, that happens sometimes.
Well, as long as it stays upside down, it won't happen again. So anyway.
Yes, the Matrix instead of paper. Like...
Yeah, I'm fairly certain we could drop them some hints, particularly since we're fairly certain that these two are members of that fan site, the same one, So, but what are we going to tell them to get them to put together that Hayes' target is potentially in one of these places?
I may have an OOC idea if you want suggestions.
Go for it, because, like I said, in character and out, I'm kind of tapped.
Basically, well, in this case, it would require someone to seduce them and take them to the room and everything for a nice little romp or whatever. But then make sure you have a screen opened up in your place with the information that you want to feed them very blatantly on the screen.
Like I said, right this minute, I'm not worried about how we get the information to them. I'm worried about what information we get to them.
Yeah, that's generally, we need to do more research for that, I think.
So we could just be pretty straight up about it. Hayes is in town on a really important job, and it's really important to Hayes to find a particular person that he's looking for.
Yeah,
and
that part.
Anyone who could lead Hayes to that person might be in his debt, and that way it makes them think, well, if we, assuming we're going to pretend that the toxic mage is at one of those locations, depending on which location we pick, if we lead them to believe that showing Hayes that location will get them in Hayes's good books, that might be enough reason for them to just do it.
Yeah, but remember, this guy has the ability to screw with people's minds. They have to honestly believe that they're the geniuses who figured all this out themselves. So we can't just tell them, hey, you know what, you should tell Hayes. I mean, getting
Yes.
them motivated is not an issue. That is, we could go, we heard that Hayes is in town looking for somebody. I bet you he'd be really impressed with anybody who could figure it out before him where this person is. But what information do we slip them such that these two dum-dums can actually put it together? And Hayes actually thinks that we're not obviously blatantly feeding them answers.
Another OOC idea, kind of inspired by this, I think it's the Snatch movie. Basically, have them be in a place with very thin walls, and then have someone else on the other side of the room have a discussion about getting this said. Basically how they are going to get this toxic mage person, and they'll get them before me. Hayes, that motherfucker.
Actually, come to think of it, so our cover we'll call it, is that we're supposed to be taking care of Dick and Chad as a favor to one of their fathers. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, maybe we did feed them the answers. Maybe that was the, we found out that these two wanted to impress Hayes, so we did some digging, and we did feed them the answers, because we wanted them to get their wish and impress Hayes. Then we don't have to be as subtle about getting them to figure it out. We just straight up admit, yeah, we fed them the answers. They wanted to impress you, so we figured we'd do some digging on our own, and then when the ambush happens, well, clearly we were fed false information on purpose to get us into the ambush location.
That could work.
Quick question. Is this just a conversation between Bishojo and Jupiter, or are any of Jupiter's people there with him?
No, he shooed them all away.
Even Foxtrot, he could curl up on your lap and you could pet him like a kitty cat.
You probably hear, well, I don't know what he's doing in the basement, but he's might be making something explode. So
He's like, what just happened to my Roomba?
Yes!
Foxtrot?
Yeah, Foxtrot will be like, what just happened to my Roomba?
Okay, I didn't realize he was that caring about his cyber stuff.
Not cyber, drone.
No, okay. I didn't realize he was so connected to his drones.
It was bumping into Bishojo.
That can't be right. Obviously, there's some kind of navigational error.
Yeah, that's probably true.
If it makes you feel any better, Shorty, I'd do the same thing to any person who had a navigational error of that type.
His eyes go wide and he returns to the basement.
Hope that Roomba didn't have a camera.
It did.
Well, I was meaning pointing up.
Oh no.
Not Foxtrot's interest.
No.
But yeah, so you don't have any of your associates in this meeting with you. You had the voice of whiskey somehow inspiring ideas, apparently.
That was
But,
OC.
Yeah, I know. I don't mind. I'm just establishing who's actually present.
Yeah, of course, we can, of course, tie anybody in if they're interested in kicking around ideas with us, VR-wise.
Yes.
But yeah, I think actually, maybe rather than trying to conceal the fact that we're feeding the answers to these two idiots, we just go with it. In fact, what do you think? What do all of you think out of character of that?
I'm just trying to figure out how that could blow up in our face.
Well,
But
if
I can't think of anything.
If you can't think of anything, you can always roll common sense to determine what your character comes up with.
Right.
also if Hayes uses mind magic on you, he can probably also figure out the real. He can or make you tell him the real reason you fed information to them, to Dick and Chad.
Yeah, that would be a big issue. But then again, if he uses mind magic on us, the jig is probably up anyway. So, yeah, I guess that's the biggest thing.
Are you giving him cause to perform mind magic on you?
Yeah, hopefully if our lie is good enough, or reasonable enough, combined with the fact that we're supposedly working under the auspices of the local Yakuza, that'll stay his hand.
And the environment that would make it harder for him to use his magic.
Oh yeah, once we get him in that area, it's not an issue.
Bishojo, would you like to roll common sense? Or for that matter, Jupiter, did you want to edge your common sense?
Yeah, you know what? Might as well.
Five is much better. Jupiter, if the entire plan is to suggest that Chad and Dick were fed false information to lure them into a trap, then Whiskey should be the one to feed it to them. Since Whiskey has already made it obvious she's hunting for Hayes.
Ah, yes. That would probably be a better idea.
Or, if we don't want Whiskey involved at all, then Scraphound or Hauser is the one who feeds them the information so that they're part of the ambush as well. And, if Hayes is like, well, somebody set these two idiots up, again, it doesn't come back to the three people who are actually present saving, quote unquote, Hayes, Chad, and Dick.
Yeah, that makes more sense, because then they would know. The ambushers would know why we're there, because yeah. Jupiter says smart things.
With the help of Edge.
Yes.
All right, that's still a reason. Yeah, that's a reasonable plan. Now the only problem there is he might figure out that at that point he might smell a rat. So we'll have to make sure that part of the team does a really good job of making this sound like something that he really can't pass on. Now, if you're going to make the trap, if the trap's got to be somewhat obvious, you want to make a really good bait.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he's looking for the toxic mage because he has a job with Aztec, whatever they're called, then he obviously wants to do his job, right?
Well, not just that, but we'll have to make it, we'll probably want to make it some kind of time-limited thing. Something suggesting that even if he suspects this is a trap, he can't simply stand back and send the dum-dums in to find out. Well, that this is something he'll have to move on, even if it's dicey.
Today only, buy one, get one free burgers.
Soy or real meat?
Both.
Buy a soy burger, get a real meat burger.
Yep.
The meat is ghoul meat.
No.
Yeah, we didn't say what the meat was. Don't. By the way, did you hear about the recent decline in devil rat population?
Oh, God.
Thrax would be fine with it.
This is Shadowrun. A lot of people would be fine with it.
Also, I am going to have to start getting to bed.
Yes,
now.
and actually, I think we're pretty much coming up to the close. Was there more that anyone wanted to roll for, or discuss, or should we just call it a night here for everyone?
There might be one avenue of magical contacts that Whiskey might pursue.
Pirate?
That might be a very stupid one. And that would be Roy Blackwood. She knows he's a voodoo mage.
So, what was Whiskey going to try with Rory Blackwood?
Same kind of as what Mary Morgan has done. Kind of basically shrink down the list to what target is Hayes probably going to be going after.
This is not Rory's specialty. Rory's specialty is the magical drug trade, which would make him a fantastic person to contact regarding Hayes, but not narrowing down target locations for a toxic mage.
Okay. Well, and maybe also indeed tips and tricks on fighting when fighting Hayes, or potential weaknesses that he might have that we could exploit. Or maybe even, hey, does he maybe want Hayes dead or in his service or something? Because for a bit of extra ching ching, you know what I mean? Know what I mean?
The guy's got a bad rep when it comes to the drug trade. I don't want my product disappearing.
So you would be happy to have him off the street then, would you?
No, I'm happy to have him pay for my product. I'm just not going to get him anywhere near the supply.
Well, fair enough. Still no tears to see him gone then, I guess.
So, anyone else had items or elements to address?
I don't think so.
Praxis, Hunter.
Nothing.
Nope.
Okay, so we'll call it here for tonight. During the week, I think I'd kind of like the script you want to feed Chad and Dick to be addressed as a group, and then you'll figure out who it is that delivers it and how. And we'll proceed basically with that as the start of our next session, and then we'll see if that bears fruit, and if you do a good enough job giving Chad and Dick the right information and the right encouragement to use that information effectively, we might even be able to finish it tomorrow or next week's session.
Of course, knowing us, I wouldn't hold your breath.
I'm not holding my breath, but I am encouraging all of you to give it the old college try.
Indeed.
I don't know how much help I'll be, because I'll have a rather busy week, but I'll try.
I understand, but hope everyone will have a good time, and we'll see you all on the 29th.